Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast on a mission to inspire a world where food makes us better. Today, guys, I'm going to be sharing with you some lessons and insight and interesting, fascinating things that I'm learning from this book that I'm still reading, but I'm already having so many insights. So the book's name is French Kids Eat Everything. I stumbled upon this book, I learned about this book while listening to one of the food podcasts on BBC, and why I wanted to read this book is because it's about behavior. It's about shaping our eating, our food behavior. And guys, French people, they're not just French cuisine, French culture, France. It's not just known for its amazing high quality, cuisine, and a lot of amazing chefs come from France. It's not just that. It's also, there is this French paradox that French people seem to eat all these fatty and calorie-dense foods and they don't put on fat. And also they seem to enjoy food so much more. And they have such a strong food culture that they even wanted, maybe they already did, they wanted to include French cuisine into UNESCO heritage, and to actually start protecting it is something that the world needs to preserve. So there is, this whole thing about French cuisine and how people in France, French people approach eating and food. And it seems like, there is a lot of fuss around it, and it's not available to everyone, and it has nothing to do with daily life. But actually, reading this book, I realized it's quite the opposite. Food for French people, it's a tool of bringing people together, a tool of bringing people of all different classes and incomes together. Good food for French people is their right as human beings, as citizens of France. Good food, good, delicious, nutritious food of great quality, they consider it a human right. And I also believe so. But they also practice it. So they make real, delicious, nutritious food available to everyone. But guys, let's talk about some details that really made me think about all, what I learned, my approach to helping people to eat healthier. And it made me think about why French people seem to have such great health, and they seem to enjoy their food so much more and allow themselves to eat all these, high calorie foods and still stay slim, and they don't have obesity problem. Not as much as, for example, UK, seemingly country that has similar economic level and really close to France, but the situation with obesity and diseases that come from that or with that are completely different. Like UK is one of the worst countries when it comes to obesity and diseases that are associated with obesity. And then France is one of those countries that has the least. So let me share with you some of my insights. So while reading this book, there is a lot of discussions. The premise of this book, an American family moves to France because the husband is French. And so the wife always had this dream that one day she wanted to at least try to live in France, and because it was, so romantic, all these images of villages and vineyards and all this French food and culture. So she always wanted to at least try living there. And so they decided to go for it, and they went over there in this village. In Europe, villages and cities, they kind of like the same. Everything is much smaller than in, let's say, America or Canada or Russia or other big countries, right? So they went to this village, and they have two daughters in the book. They are the ages of 6 and about 3 or 4. And so the girls have this American culture in them already. They eat like Americans do. And now they have to relearn this whole thing and learn to love all these vegetables and weird food like organ meats or duck liver or mussels and oysters that French people love. All these weird foods and a lot of vegetables that they never even heard about. Like even while reading the book, like a lot of vegetables, I'm like, what's this? I need to look it up. French people do eat a lot of vegetables. That's lesson number 1 that family hard to learn. And if you want to eat like French, you need to love your vegetables and all the weird foods. So in the book, they talk a lot about French culture. And what really fascinates me is that French people have so many rules, or I'd better say rituals around foods that allow them to enjoy their food. But at the same time, as I'm reading through this, I'm realizing that these rules also maintain a very high nutritious status of all the meals and day-to-day diet. So for example, one of the rules in French cuisine, kind of like rules, but it's more ritual, is if you eat something once a week, you shouldn't be eating it the rest of the week. So variety, right? And variety, brings a lot of different nutrients. So for example, if they eat some fish or mussels 1 week of the day, then they shouldn't be having it the rest of the week. Or if they have, let's say, like an apple, even like fruit and vegetables, or if they had zucchinis one day, then they shouldn't have it the rest of the week. And that goes for lunch and dinner. Breakfast is kind of like, whatever, kind of like food for French. Lunch and dinner, they usually have 4 courses in most family, even just for regular day. That's another thing. French people almost always eat with someone, eat together. They value a lot eating together, especially as families. They have breaks at schools and at work for hour and a half for a good quality lunch. So people could go home and eat a lunch with families. A lot of kids would eat their 4 courses meals at their school canteen, what they call it, or school cafeteria. And then as families, they usually have big dinners that usually last, 1 hour, 1.5, and consist of 4 courses. So eating together, eating slowly, enjoying the food. I teach people to do that. But in French culture, it's a part of their culture. That's how everyone does it. So anyhow, first, variety. We talked about variety. So a lot of variety: meat, fish, shellfish, vegetables, fruit, in everything. So if you eat it once a week, you shouldn't be eating it twice a week. The next concept is real food. For French people, there is a very important difference between real foods and fake foods. And real foods is what is meant to be eaten on a regular basis most of the time. And fake foods, like, all the cereals or snacks or processed foods, they are never considered to be a part of real food meals by French. So you can, have soda once in a while or some snack once in a while. But in French tradition, in French culture, French eating culture, those snacks and fake foods, they are not meals. They are like entertainment. You do it once in a while, but not every day. Or like popcorn. You're not going to be eating popcorn every day. So the rest of the stuff, no matter how fancy those snacks are, those are not meals. For French people, meals are freshly, good quality, picked ingredients cooked in a healthy and delicious, for French, it's also very important, delicious, enjoyable way. So real food versus fake food. And as we know, that's very important. My health, my fitness, my energy levels, everything kind of like fell into place once I started eating whole foods, cooked meals. Most of the time, I almost never snack on anything. I just don't feel like I need to. Food is so incredibly delicious and good, and my meals are so freaking awesome, and I feel so nourished. I don't even feel like, for me, a snack, something in a package, it's like whenever I eat it, I never feel satisfied or nourished. It feels like really weird for me. And I think that's exactly how it is for French people. So again, number one, variety. If you eat it once a week, you shouldn't be eating it the rest of the week. And it goes for fruit and vegetables, and compare it to American or even Russian cuisine, or really for a lot of modern people, that's the reality. Like, people eat the same thing over and over again, chicken and rice and maybe broccoli, or if it's somebody considers them healthy, or some pizza or some sandwich or something like that, and people eat the same thing over and over again. And look at all the packaged foods. They're like almost the same ingredients in every one of them, just they put them together in different ways, and you get your corn, your sugar, your flour, some maybe vitamins and minerals added on top of that, and that's your food, but it's basically the same ingredients. But in French cuisine, and my personal rule also, yesterday I shared with you guys how I schedule my main meals. So that's how I schedule variety. Monday, liver; Tuesday, mussels; Wednesday, vegan; Thursday, lamb or some other red meat; Friday, fatty fish; then some eggs or something else. So if I eat it once a week, I don't eat it anymore. Real foods. Snacking. French people have very strict rules about snacking. Only kids have one snack between lunch and dinner, and they're very specific about that snack, that it's gotta be, something filling and nourishing, but not too filling. So children have the ability to get hungry for dinner and only get that one snack. The rest, they have breakfast at home, they have lunch at school, they're not allowed to bring any snacks to school. Like, they're just not allowed. They eat at school, big, good lunch, and then they have their snack about 4 p.m., and then they have their dinner about 7 p.m. Adults? No, adults don't snack. That snack is considered to be a kid's thing, not adult thing. So adults eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. No snacking. For French people, having a snack, it's kind of an offense to your eating habits. It's a culturally not accepted thing. It's like bad manners. That's what snacking equals to in French cuisine. So, and you know by now that I'm a huge fan of no snacking. Why do you need to snack? If you don't eat enough for your meals, then eat better meals. And I never feel like snacking. Why? Because I have good meals. I feel so full and nourished after my meals that I don't want to eat any snacks. I eat usually 1.5 meals a day. I feel so nourished and so full that I don't want to eat till the next day. And that's how you stay consistent with your meals without snacking. So back to French rules. Variety, real foods, no snacking. And then when it comes to meals, guys, their main meals, lunch and dinner mainly, 4 courses meals. And it's very interesting that they have this specific order of foods, and specific foods to include in those meals and those courses, because based on all the research that recently coming out from countries like Israel, where they do a lot of different research around food and the sequences of different foods, the sequence of different foods at our meals and how it affects our blood sugar metabolism, blood sugar spikes or balanced blood sugar, right? And how then it affects our energy levels and how hungry we are, and just in general how our body is able to metabolize and digest that food. So for example, in Israel, doing that study, they found out that the best way for our metabolism, for our blood sugar regulation, is to eat our vegetables, our fiber, our protein first. And if we decide to eat something with more sugar or with more carbohydrates like rice or potatoes or maybe some bread, then it should be eaten at the end of the meal. And so for a French meal, there are 4 courses. First is kind of like appetizer, but it's vegetables, usually maybe soup. It also might be something like a piece of foie gras or duck liver, or maybe a piece of olive. So they eat a lot of vegetables. They eat, all these different weird foods that do have a lot of nutrition actually. And then for the main course, they have, something protein rich. They have more vegetables. Like French people are such fan of vegetables. Like vegetables, it's one of their traditions, culture, eating thing. Vegetables should be a part of every single meal except breakfast. Like breakfast, as I understood, French people don't really pay attention to that. They might have coffee and a croissant, and that's basically it. Not that I'm a fan of that, but considering the quality of lunch and dinner, I think that's why they are winning. They might even skip breakfast. That's how unimportant it is for French. So you might say they are naturally into intermittent fasting. They'd rather skip it because it's not that important. But anyhow, lunch and dinner, first course is again some sort of vegetables or soup with a lot of vegetables. For them, soup is like pureed vegetables. And then might some weird foods on top of that. And then main course, some, fish, mussels or chicken or, some sort of protein rich food. And then a lot of vegetables again. And then the third course is salad. Can you imagine, like salad on top of all of these vegetables, plus cheese. And cheese, guys, is one of the highest sources of calcium. So French do eat their calcium for sure. Plus, natural, good quality cheese is fermented, and it makes it so much easier for our digestive system. So French eat their calcium at lunch and dinner, and then dessert, the last course, only if you feel like it. And after those 3 courses, you might not even feel like that. And dessert, yeah, it's delicious, but it's never considered to be the major part or something to leave the space for. No, first you gotta eat your vegetables and soup and all these weird foods, and then protein rich foods and salad and cheese, and only after that can you think about dessert. So those are just a few things that I'm learning about from this amazing book that has so many insights. And guys, why it's important, I believe that so many of us in our culture are having problems with eating habits, with weight, with health because of our eating habits, is because we in most places stopped teaching our kids, and many of us don't have that education. We stopped teaching our kids about food traditions that actually didn't just evolve out of nothing, but they actually carry this millennia or centuries old wisdom about how to eat to support our health needs, our mental and physical needs. So food cultures like French culture, they didn't just evolve out of nothing. People accumulated this knowledge about what foods are good for us so we can stay healthy. And they just transfer it or from generation to generation, this wisdom to make sure that kids and then adults stay healthy and fit and enjoy their life, right? So French people still do have this, and I think that is very important to preserve. And I think that's what we all need to learn. We have troubles with our diets because we lost those traditions, those rules, those routines around food. And they are important, guys. From all the cultures, from all my own research and research of other people, what I'm learning is that it is important to have your vegetables. It is important to have variety. It is important not to snack. It is important to have fasting time when you allow your stomach to recover its lining and everything. And also French people have this amazing rule or habit. They don't force kids to eat. So when it's time to have a meal, they would offer children, and they wouldn't eat themselves, of course, with them. They would offer children different courses, different foods. But if kids don't want to finish everything, don't want to eat it all, the parents wouldn't make any big deal out of it. What they will tell their kids is that, well, you're not hungry, you'll be hungrier for your next meal. And that's how I think it's supposed to be. If you're not hungry, don't eat. You'll be hungrier for your next meal, and that's when you eat what you need to eat, right? But also, of course, they don't allow kids to just have dessert if kids don't want to eat vegetables. No, if the kids aren't hungry for anything, they're not going to be given anything else. They're just going to go hungry till the next meal. That's I also really loved about French way of teaching kids how to eat. And I think that's one of the things that we need to adapt to. Like, yeah, if we're not hungry for lunch, then let's skip it, but don't snack because of that on some crap. No, wait for dinner and then use your appetite to eat proper meals. And one of the rules I'm always working with my clients on is non-snacking and having meals. And you'd be amazed how much change people see in their eating habits when they don't allow themselves to snack. They just develop better appetite for real foods when it's time to eat. So all these guys, I'm going to be finishing this book, and I'm going to be blogging about it this week. And then I'm going to share with you a few insights. But for today, what French people who have this French paradox, eating all these calorie-dense foods like cheeses and all these fatty foie gras or fatty fish and all this butter. Like, what can we all learn from French people? Number one, no snacking rule. Snacking is for kids, not for adults. If you don't have, if you're hungry, wait for dinner, wait for lunch, and eat then. And snacking actually spoils our appetite. So no snacking for adults. Number two, variety, guys. Well, number two, actually, let's start with real foods. Real foods, not fake foods. You can eat fake foods once in a while, like maybe once a week or something as a snack, but not at your meals, not every day. Snacks are not food. Well-cooked meals prepared from real foods, that's where focus should be. So that French people confirm that by their looks and their health. Number three, variety. If you eat something once a week, don't eat it the rest of the week. And that goes for our meat, for our fish, shellfish, vegetables, fruit, nuts, and seeds. So routine when it comes to eating is a bad thing. Why? Because with the same foods, we get the same nutrients, and we might accumulate some nutrients and be deficient in other nutrients. So variety every day. I just schedule it. So guys, that's the best thing, not to think about it and make it happen. So number one, no snacking. Snacking is for kids. Number two, real foods, not some packaged crap. Number three, variety. And then number four, I guess, The courses, dessert is not necessary. Leave it if you decide to eat it for the very end of your meal. First, you're gonna eat a lot of vegetables. Like I always recommend people, vegetable is your, superstar, the most amount of nutrients with the least amount of calories. So eat different kinds of vegetables and vegetable appetizers and weird foods like olives, maybe some avocados, maybe some chicken liver or something like that. And then eat your protein, more vegetables, all kinds of vegetables prepared in all these delicious ways. And eat your salad, maybe a little bit of cheese. For 40 grams of cheese, guys, will give you like 50% of your calcium, or 60, about that, depends on the cheese. And then you eat it twice a day, like French do, and you get all the calcium you need. That's, where French get their calcium. They got it into their tradition for the right reasons. And then you get again salad, you get your cheese, and then if you desire, a piece of dessert. And that's also how French people so easily stop being satisfied with just a little bit dessert. Well, if you eat like soup and a lot of vegetables and some protein-rich food and then more salad and then more cheese, like how hungry are you gonna be for dessert? Probably not that hungry. And that's why people eat a lot of real foods, enjoying their dessert too when they want to. So that's it for today, guys. Some French cuisine, French traditions, lessons that we all can learn, that we all can adopt. And in that realm, we all probably should be more French than American. Or for that, reason, Russian. We don't have really good eating culture at the moment either. Like people eat all kinds of crap. And just like in most developed countries, highly developed countries. So yeah, let's be more French. And let's repeat, guys. It's worth repeating. Number 1, snacking is for kids. Have your good lunch, have your good dinner, take your time, eat with people you love. Number 2, variety. What you eat once a week, don't eat it the rest of the week, and it goes for every food group. Number 3, real foods, not some weird processed food products with a lot of ingredients. And number 4, eat your veggies first, eat your protein first, eat your salad, eat your cheese, and dessert maybe once in a while, not too often. Let's be a little bit more French, guys. Share this episode with maybe your French friend or somebody who wants to learn more about food culture and how it can help them to stay leaner, healthier, more energetic, and manage their weight better, enjoying all the delicious real foods. So share this episode, especially with French friends. And if you're French, let me know if I got this right. Or share with me something about your French eating heritage. And guys, as usual, thank you for listening. And till next time, eat better and eat a little bit more French.